Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us after a little break. Happy New Year for everybody. Cheers, Hillary. And wishing all the best and all the blessings and only good news coming this year for all of us. So we are in portion Bo, B-O, page 3. And we're going to start with the first and second verse today.
355 will send you. Oh, live look at St. Louis.
I'll start with reading those two first verses, and then we'll have Ellen, if she can, read the English. ויאמר השם אל משה, בוא אל פרעה, כי אני הכבדתי את ליבו וגומר. רבי יהודה פתח ואמר, אשרי העם יודעי תרועה, השם באור פניך ילכון. כמה יצטרכו בני נשה למהך בערכי דקודשה בריחו, ולביתר פיקודה אורייתה בגין דאזכון. בא לעלמא דעתה ולשזבה לון מכל קיטרוגין דיללה לבטתה בגין דהה כמה דאיש תכחו מקטרגין בעלמא לטתה החנמה איש תכחו מקטרגין לאלה דקמה עליהו דבני נשה. All right, Ellen, if you may.
Okay. And Hashem said to Moses, "Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart." Rabbi Yehuda opened the discussion saying, "Happy is the people that know the joyful note. They shall walk, Hashem, in the light of your countenance. How much should people walk in the ways of the Holy One, blessed be he, and observe the commandments of the Torah in order to merit the world to come, and that they may be delivered from all accusers above and below. For as there are accusers in the world below, so there are adversaries above whose functions is to accuse people." Am I still going?
Did you finish the paragraph?
I couldn't hear you. You were muted for a minute.
Yeah, sorry. Did you finish the
Okay.
paragraph?
I haven't started number 1. And Hashem said to Moses, do you want me to keep going?
So what did you read until now?
Whatever. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
I got confused because I couldn't hear anything anymore. Okay.
Yeah, I just needed to correct this may, M-E.
That's exactly, that threw me off too. M-E-Y.
Yeah.
Okay. And functions, yeah, is to accuse people, I guess. Anyway, okay. Yes, I did read that.
אינון דאבדין פיקודי אורייתא ואזלה באורח משאר בדיחלה דמארהון כמה אינון סנגורין דקיימין עליהו לאלה. כמה דעת אמר אם יש עליו מלאך מליץ אחד מיני א' וגומר חטי ויחוננו ויאמר פדאינו מרדת שחט מצאתי חופר בגין כך זכאי אינון מן דנתיר פיקודי אורייתא. Go ahead.
Okay. Those who observe the commandments of the Torah and walk the right path in fear of their master, good advocates are situated above them, as is written, "If there be an angel over him, an interpreter, one among 1,000, then he is gracious to him and says, deliver him from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom. Therefore, fortunate is he who observes the commandments of the Torah."
Thank you, Ellen. So What do we make of those two verses? Anybody? No volunteer? Hillary, do you have somebody in your group that wants to talk? Nobody wants to?
Go ahead, Steve.
I said, you better behave yourself so you don't get accused of anything.
Simply put, sure. Can you expand a little bit?
No.
That's okay.
What else?
Hmm.
Just
Rich, George. Beatrice. Ellen.
I heard, this is Rich.
Hello, Rich.
Hello. You're being watched, not watched, but monitored here and also in this spiritual realm. That's most of what I heard.
Okay, I like that. But although it almost sounds like, like there is a voyeur that is like that is watching us from above and below. That can, can be also, but it's true. It's funny. I had a chat with my daughter, and she's like 7, wanna be 14, and so like she's talking and behaving and speaking, like a 14, 15-year-old, and she has cousins that are 15 and 17. So she has a great example. I mean, she has an example. And so she goes and she's like being like really like spicy with her mouth. And, I just told her something, I mean, from my perspective, that was thought-provoking. And that is, imagine if you were in the presence of your teacher at class, and your teacher is in the room. Would you say that in front of your teacher? She said, no. Are you crazy? Never. Okay, and what about this example? Or when you said that, and she said, no, I would never say that in front of my teacher. And what about that? And I took the example of something that was cute or that was nice or that was funny. And she said, yes, she would. And it's interesting because this is, a lesson that we learn in Kabbalah, that we learn in the Gemara, in the Mishnah, that the way that we behave and that we speak, if we want to know if it is, generating good, what if you were in the presence of the king? And when we're talking about the king, obviously it's a metaphor for the creator. If the creator was right now, in the room in front of you, would you behave? Would you speak? Would you react? Would you do this to that person in front of the king? Always when we ask the question, it's very easy to know the answer because we are easily sort of like projecting, as an example. So for the king or the creator in the room, or for the teacher, for my daughter, it's a great example because that's an example that you can take on with you. The Zohar and the Torah talks about Irat Hashem. And Irat Hashem is the fear of God, which has a very, religious connotation, which is basically to be in fear of God, which is not, in my opinion, it's not a very positive law of attraction, if you will. If you put out there something to fear, then what you would draw is something that is fearful. We can use a word that is awe, or that is respect, or that is appreciation, or that is grateful. And that is a person, like if you are to personify that entity or that person, for my daughter, it's a teacher. This is how she views her teacher, right? And this is how, you know, as an example, this is an example that has been written for hundreds of years. It's not new. Imagine if you were in the presence of the king, and when it was written, there were kings all over. Today, there might be a couple of kings, but they're meaningless. But if you were in the presence of the king and you would act in a certain manner that was not appropriate, you can get decapitated. And so you would be fearing for your life, to be scared for your life, you know, if you were to do something wrong. So the Zohar here is taking another spin, which is basically that, again, we are in charge. I don't like to use so much the word responsible because it has a negative connotation, but we're in charge of creating whatever energy is, is pouring out of us. And so if we are to speak, to act, to react in a positive manner, we are building up those positive angels and those defenders in the upper world. The upper world is not a realm that is physically above ours. It is exactly where we are in a higher state of consciousness. So when you and I, we fall in our level of consciousness and we get sad, accusatory, in pain, depressed, jealous, angry, remorseful, or whatever, those are indications that we are tapping into our low self-esteem and low of everything, low consciousness. And then there are days that we wake up or that we do something that brings us a lot of joy, and it boosts our consciousness, where we feel positive and optimistic, and we are hopeful, and we start dreaming again. Those are results that are in tune with us when we are tapping into our higher consciousness. We don't have to go anywhere physical to encounter, to experience, to taste those variation of levels of consciousness. And so when the Zohar is talking about accusers, or is talking about the defenders, we're not talking about elevated realms out of the heavens. The heavens, the upper world, is right here where you sit right now. You could close your eyes and go into a meditation and tap into the higher realms. So this is just for us, like, to build a context, that because it always feels like this, not only to me but to people, that when we're talking about higher realms, it's out of reach. It's far-fetched. We can't really grasp it. We can't really touch it. And it's not true. Our higher self, our higher level of consciousness is exactly where we are physically. It's just a matter of what pours out of us as far as our consciousness, energy, actions, and words that are going to enhance either the higher consciousness or the lower consciousness. So the Zohar here is talking about accusers, and he's talking about adversaries. And so the same way that we are generating those negative angels that are accusers in this physical realm in Malchut, they are also adversaries as a result that we are building in the upper world. They are like prosecutors that are working for the evil inclination, and they receive the right. There is a holy, divine right from the Creator that says to those adversaries, you can go and you can accuse people. Rabbi Yehuda answers that it is true that God sees everything, but he gave permission to the other side to accuse people in this world. And that is to the question, Rabbi Chia wonders, why if someone keeps the commandments and he does everything right? Why is it necessary to have an angel and to sit for him? And that is the answer. The answer is that God, the creator, the builder of this all, gave permission to the other side to accuse people in this world. So a lot of times people think that because they're doing good, they are invincible. And because they're doing charity and they volunteer and they are generous people and do acts of kindness and positive deeds, they have a reserved seat next to the Creator. That could be partially true, but it says here very clearly that even if you check all the boxes in the physical realm, it doesn't guarantee that you would have only angels that are going to defend you. Why? Because nobody is perfect. Nobody that I know that I've come to encounter or that I've come to read or watch, nobody is perfect. Every human being has flaws. Every human being at some point of the day, of the month, of the year has a thought, a temptation that is not holy. Why? Because as long as we are in this physical reality, living, breathing, we have something else to correct. So it is possible that there are some human beings that are more evolved spiritually, and the rest of us were still basically struggling, to discern, between the good and the bad, between elevation and descending in our consciousness, fighting our evil inclination, restriction of all our flows and all our temptations. There are very few, but there are human beings existing in this planet, in this realm of Malchut, that are holding the pillars of life. And the Zohar is talking about in every generation, there are 36 hidden righteous, that without whom the world could not sustain itself energetically, physically, spiritually, etc. So there are 36 righteous, and they're hidden for a reason. So when it comes to us, we need to understand, yes, when you do good, when something is pouring out of you that is positive, it is generating energies. And those energies can be called all sorts of names. They can be called angels, they can be called forces that in turn, when you're going to need it, they're going to be there to protect you, to guide you, to whisper in your ear. They're going to be there to support. Equally, in the times, in the 5 minutes, in the 30 seconds that you lost it, you generated an accuser in the physical realm and an adversary in the upper world that is there to go in front of the Creator, because you have, after all the positive things that you have done, you have all your defenders and all your angels in the upper world that are saying all the great things that Beatrice and Ellen and Rich have done in this physical realm. And then you have like this adversary that says, wait a second. Yeah, this person did A, B, and C, and I can see that, but What about these 15 minutes over there where this person lost it completely? Kabbalah, spirituality, bye-bye. Right now, I just want to say, I just want to express what I think, and I don't care about anything. 15 minutes later, when we come back to our senses, we're like, oops, I know better. But we're human beings. So we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves. The Creator is definitely not hard on ourselves, on us. But in this matter of game of life, we need to know that it's part of the rules, right? Every game has rules that the adversaries and those accusers receive the right to play. So when it is their turn, they come along and they accuse. And their, I don't know what's the word, accusation. Accusement. Their accusation is not baseless, because it is always based on truth. So even though they're going to make it a huge lie, that did you see what this person did? They're not deserving of A, B, and C. It's not true. You're super deserving because cause and effect. If you did all these great things, you have all these great angels and supporters and defenders that are speaking truth, real truth, and they come and they say, this person deserves this kind of blessing. Finally, they've been waiting 2 years, 5 years for this to manifest in their life. It is time. With all the accumulation of good, with all this transformation that they've gone through this past 5 years, they deserve it. Please give it to them. And then the accuser comes and says, oh, I don't think this person is ready because this is still going on and I still think that they are not ready. It's a lie because, those spoke truth, because in the upper world there is no lies. But the accuser can create that bubble of a lie in connection with the accusers that you're not ready. Angels, they cannot, they have no speck. They have no speck of negativity and they have no speck of taking you down. They are only going to boost your persona and your PR so that you're going to get the best that you deserve. So imagine if you were in a realm in a week time, that you would react 0 time, that you would have 0 negative temptation and negative thoughts. Your entire realm, reality, manifestation would be completely transformed as you've never seen it before. Forget about a week, it's impossible. Let's just call it like, let's start with an hour. Seriously, let's start with an hour. An hour where there is no fear, where there is no worry, where there is no comparing, where there is no calculation. What I have, what the neighbor has, remorse. I mean, there are a lot of things that you can make personal to you. Just an exercise of an hour a day. And if even that is too much, cut it down. 30 minutes, 10 minutes. And as soon as we are capable to do 5 minutes, that we're capable to do 10 minutes, then you can expand. You've done it like 2 or 3 times and you got good at it, at quieting everything. It's part of a meditation. It's a very known meditation to quiet your mind, to bring your thoughts to 0. It's a very hard exercise to bring your thoughts to 0, because it's almost impossible to not think at all. It takes a lot of resistance. It takes a lot of like pushing away. And then you realize when you consciously make the exercise, how much noise there is. And you know what? 98% of the noise doesn't belong to you. It is not even generated or thought by you. It is just noise that is like a radio station, and your mind, which is a supercomputer, captures it, hears it. And because it is in tune with whatever level of consciousness you are right now, you capture it and you make it your own. And so if you are in a positive page, that's great, because whatever is playing out, you know, it's going to be like good stuff, good ideas, good wishes and dreams and hopes and all sorts of things like that. It's great. But if your mind and if your consciousness is low, it becomes really hard to get out, because it's like a vicious circle. You're trying to think positive, but you're in a vicious circle of toxicity and negativity and whatnot. So it's not the end of the world. It starts with 5 minutes. Do this exercise for 5 minutes, and if it's really easy for you to actually think about nothing, and if you want to know how to achieve something like that, just sit. Obviously, there shouldn't be like any like disturbance or distraction around you. Quiet room, taming the light, dimming the light, and you focus on a single noise, that is repetitive. So it can be the crack of wood fire. I'm thinking about all our Torontonian. If you have like a wood fire, just, you know, listen and focus on that. Or the noise of the air conditioning, the noise of water dripping or dropping, or the aquarium. And you just focus on that. It's very easy, or easier, to do this exercise when you focus on something that is outside of your head. Outside of your head. And as you focus on that for 5 minutes and you just focus, you're still going to be tempted to drift away, to think about different things, but bring yourself back. You can do it for 5 minutes, extend to 15 minutes. You can do it 15 minutes, bring it up to 30 minutes. And the more you can expand it, and the more you gain control. You gain control over the accusers, you gain control over the adversaries, and you increase the influence that your defenders, the angels, your protectors have, and that is going to be so much more needed in the moments that you are not in such a strong place. Do this exercise, it's very simple. So I just want to touch upon again this idea of fear that I would translate as in, you have worked so hard to elevate your consciousness and to calm the noise that is in your head, and you just don't want to lose it. You just don't want to go back to the lower consciousness, because you know how it feels. You know how it tastes. You don't like it. And so it's not a fear. It is a positive anticipation of just a drifting away. And it's so easy to get distracted and drift away, because Satan is so subtle, the evil inclination is so subtle, that because this is the playing field of Satan, you have like a gazillion of radio stations that are playing, and he's attempting, and that's all he can do. He cannot force you to capture those thoughts, but it is in his play, it is in his game of rules, or rules of this game, that he has the right to play out all this radio station and just wait for you to capture one. And so for us to protect ourselves, we have the means. We have the Zohar to help us first understand the system. Most of the people out there, they don't understand, they're not even aware of that system. What we just read could be like the secret to life, the secret to overcoming all our flaws and all our insecurities. Because if we are to become more aware and more in control of the noise that goes in, that we absorb and that we own and that we accept, that we acknowledge, or that we simply dodge, that we protect ourselves, we build this protective shield from that noise, and we become more aware of it. And the more we practice it, and the more it stays away. It's not going to stop trying, but the more you practice that, and the more you'd be aware of it, and the more likely you'd be able to dodge it again as it is attempting. I mean, another level is people that are able to control their dreams, where they are, in the same way that there are accusers in this physical realm with all sorts of ideas, temptations, thoughts, desires. Those same exist in the realm of dreams, where those forces, those angels, negative angels, are trying to come in and trying to basically take our energy, drink up our energy. And so obviously, if we're not aware that there is this war going on between the peace and quiet that we can acquire and the noisemakers, then how would we ever know that the same realm or the same fight exists in the realm of dreams? So as we are to not only practice, but to also acquire this ability to have a fair fight with the right instruments, with the right consciousness, with the right tools, we can take also this fight in the realm of dreams. And as a result, the realm of dreams is just has different ramification and conclusions, I would say, reaching out to places that will never reach in our awakened state. The awakened state is much more limited than our sleep state, because when we sleep, we tap into the subconscious. So much more is available for us to transform in the realm of dreams. But let's start with the state of us being awake and waging this war and waging this struggle against the accusers. Because right now the struggle is happening, we're just not fighting. We just let those accusers drink up our energy and steal away our blessings and our happiness and our tree of life connection. Like, without being aware, without knowing what's going on, we're just like oblivious to what's happening. But as we become aware and we are attempting, doing the exercise and practicing, attempting to take control over our life by attempting to take control of what's happening in our head. And that's where everything starts. Because when you change your mind, you change your thoughts, you change your consciousness, you change your reality as a result. Any questions?
I can't help but think about in the high holidays, and that's I think when maybe people feel what you're talking about in a magnified way, like judgment, like what's in the scope of their maybe last year, rather than in the moment. But is it sort of the same, to a different degree, that that each action or even each thought is being noticed, and I guess I can't think of a word other than judged, to be positive or negative by maybe whoever's in the 1%, but the 99% as well. Like, does that create our jury?
In the 99%, we are in charge. That is the clear, short, straight answer. We are in charge. Are
our thoughts as important as our actions, or more so, because the things that we think about and maybe don't act on, maybe, and that's, maybe restriction comes in or things like that. But how do you handle thoughts in terms of judgment?
Yeah, I would take, I appreciate everything that you shared right now. Although I would just focus right now not about controlling our thoughts. It's almost impossible to control our thoughts. But what we can do is make an effort to control the silence, to control the quiet. Because if you take away 5 seconds from the accusers, you took away an entire lifetime away from them. Because that is one soul that was successful. 5 seconds in this physical world can be a lifetime. If you
Can
were
you give just
successful,
one example? Can you create an example of this?
I gave you an example. And that example is that I'm going to sit on the couch that is next to me, and I'm going to put maybe like a meditation background music, not even guided, just like soothing meditation music. Or it can be complete quiet with no music, and you just choose one repetitive noise to focus on. So if you are, for example, my background has the water, that is, you can go to the beach and do that if you have the beach, not the case in St. Louis, but you choose one object that has, that property. If you have a piano, on the piano we have like this, I don't know how you call it, tick-tock, 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 that goes right.
Metronome.
Exactly, thank you. Like anything that can be like a repetitive thing, or you can even like choose something from YouTube, like in a background music that does a repetitive noise that is very soothing, not like something that's going to hammer your mind. The exercise that I'm sharing with you is stripping away energy from the accuser. Why? Because the only way that they can gain control over us is through our thoughts. Now, if you take a break from the thoughts, even if it's a minute a day, you destroy the world. You pumped away all this massive energy that otherwise they would use for their gain. So imagine it's you plus the 6 of us. That is going to affect the entire world. We don't see the ripple effect of what that does. Because from the moment that you have one human being able to do that, it opens the gates in the upper world, allowing other people to do the same. So it's not about how can I focus more on thinking more positive and not fall into the temptation of wanting to choke this person when I don't like them or when I'm getting upset. It's almost impossible. Seriously. And I'm thinking about even like desires of the body, desires of this physical body. The moment that you had a desire and you felt good about that desire, even if you didn't act upon it, you didn't do anything today because you restricted, I can promise you it's just a matter of time. Because the seed level that was planted, that the adversary was successful at planting in your head, it's going to take 6 months, it's going to take 10 years, it's going to get you. So the exercise is not about how to change our thoughts from negative or sinful or desire to receive for the self alone into good. Ultimately, it's nice, it's good. But what is more powerful, because why is it more powerful? Because it is at the seed of the seed. It is before, it is treating the disease even before it came into the body, before you get the thoughts. Because now you're trying, you're attempting, you're practicing to silence the noise. No good, no bad, no nothing. You just quiet the mind for a minute, for 5 minutes, whatever you're successful to do tomorrow. Today, you stretch tomorrow for a little bit more. You jump from 2 to 3 minutes, from 3 to 5, from 5 to 7, from 7 to 10. And the more you expand that, and the more power, the more control you will have over the usual traditional thoughts that are taking you down. Why? Because you're drained, your accuser, you drained your evil inclination from the usual energy that is pumping you out from with.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, guys. It was good to be back. Lots of love. And again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Of course.
Love you.
Thank you.
You too.
Thanks, Yehuda.
You're welcome.